witam bardzo serdecznie, Pawel Surynowicz, polski karting. Przed nami kolejna rozmowa w kwarantannowej Karting Cafe. Mam nadzieję, że te nasze rozmowy przypadły Wam do gustu. Myślę, że są bardzo potrzebne. Są potrzebne wszystkim tym, którzy są uziemieni teraz w domu, szczególnie środowisku kartingowemu, które nie może kontynuować sezonu 2020. Moim kolejnym rozmówcą jest Alex Goldschmidt. To jest doskonale znany wszystkim Wam komentator rozgrywek kartingowych, mieszkający na stałe w Anglii. Przede wszystkim znamy Alexa z relacji Rotax Euro Trophy czy Rotax BNL. Postaram się skontaktować z Alexem i zadam mu kilka pytań, jak sobie radzi w kwarantannie, jak wygląda świat w Wielkiej Brytanii, z czym to się wiąże, jeśli chodzi o brytyjskie środowisko kartingowe. No i oczywiście będę starał się dowiedzieć od Alexa, jaka jest jego opinia na temat całego sezonu, jak to będzie wyglądało w kolejnych miesiącach. Bardzo serdecznie zapraszam na tą rozmowę. Jeszcze jedna ważna rzecz, rozmawiamy po angielsku. Zapraszam.
Hello, Alex. How are you?
Hey, Pawel. All good. Thank you very much, my friend.
I hope you're doing well. You're safe now.
Yeah, been working from home in my day job since I think a week and a half now. So we're now into the second week of the lockdown here in the UK. We're not fully locked down like Italy. We're able to go out for medical supplies. Go out for essential shopping, and also one time a day we can go out for exercise. So I try and keep my exercising towards the night time, because then at least you know that not so many people are going to be outside, and you have to keep the social distancing.
Yeah. What is the weather in the UK today? Is it good? Is it good training or competition?
It's good for both. I think it's around about 11 degrees. It's 9 degrees Celsius here where I live. A little bit cloudy, but still perfect for training and for racing, Pawel. So still good weather.
Okay, Alex. My first question is trivial. What is the current situation in the UK? Everything is stopped. Yeah, and everybody are in quarantine, or it's, as you say, it's not the same as in Italy, right?
Yeah, I mean, from our perspective here in the UK, since Motorsport UK have now decided that all circuit activity is now been disallowed until the end of June. So June 30th is when the embargo gets lifted. So no one can go to circuits and tests. No one can go on track days, and the public gatherings is a maximum of 2 people. So you can't, if you want to go to a circuit, the only people that you can have is the driver, somebody else, and that's it. If you have someone from the club there, it's the same rules as what have been enforced in Germany, where you can only have 2 people, and it's quite strict. But I think with the pandemic that has swept the globe quite significantly and quite suddenly, has made governments realise what they need to do in order to keep us as safe as possible.
Yeah. And what people what do the people say about this situation? What are the opinions of people who you know?
I think a lot of people are of the opinion that there are, unfortunately, some irresponsible individuals out there who flagrantly disregard what has been put into force by Boris Johnson. So we basically want to get back racing as soon as possible. A lot of people have shown their frustration on social media, which is very understandable. And I think it's just that we just want this to be over and done with through a lot of us in the motorsport community. I'm constantly talking with Gary from Jag Rotax, who I work with as part of their social media team, basically the man that heads that up. And it is, we're all struggling. It's only a week in, and you can already see cracks starting to open. I mean, from my perspective, I was heavily demotivated. I had no energy. Like most people know, when I'm commentating, I'm Mr. Enthusiastic. And last week, I have never felt like that before in my life. But then, through talking with friends on a regular basis, talking with my mum, who's high risk, the motivation started coming back. But now I'm of the opinion myself personally that I just want to get through this with everybody else. I want to see as many of my friends as humanly possible when we go back racing. I don't know when that's going to be, but I'm in it for the long haul. And just, but yeah, a lot of people are showing frustration. A lot of people are turning to esports now. Obviously, with Motorsport UK, Motorsport Games, and Alpha Live now looking to do an Easter Championship for the Motorsport UK side of things. I know that there has been a lot of esports, Veloce, Formula One, supercars are about to do it over in Australia, IndyCar. So there is a lot that is now coming to the front instead of real racing. So in some respects, I think that will help some people. It won't, unfortunately, help others. So yeah, it's a very difficult time. And it was always going to be a difficult situation once they put these lockdown controls in place.
I have to admit that I miss the karting competition terribly. How do you deal with the lack of karting?
I think from my perspective, because I not just work as a commentator, I work in social media as well. And I've been looking back at so many fantastic races. And I'm not just talking about what I commentate on. I'm talking the whole spectrum of karting and motorsport. I think just really, I mean, this is how a commentator tries to keep himself occupied in the meantime. I have a bullet point list of old projects I have yet to complete, and this is something that I'm currently working on the 40-minute highlight show from Karting Cafe for the Winter Cup, where we had 200 drivers, nearly 30 different nationalities, a fantastic event. I'm also working on some other projects as well through video, but also there's some possibilities that I might end up commentating from my office here in the UK. But that's all talks at the moment, and it's dependent on a lot of factors. But I think really, like you, I'm missing it. I'm missing that smell when you go in the paddock and you can hear them sort of firing up the engines and giving them give them a little bit of a turnover, just make sure that they're firing right. But yeah, it's as I said. I mean, it felt like my heart was ripped out last week. It really, really was, and I just thought, hang on, this Friday I was meant to go to the BNL round 1 at Karting Genk, and now I'm not going. And then I look at everything that I'm meant to be doing in Europe this year, BNL, Euro, Germany as well. I was set to start commentating on that in about 2 weeks' time in Mulsanne. But yeah, I've cancelled every single hire car. I've cancelled every single hotel that I booked because I don't know how this is going to pan out, really.
Yeah. Could you tell us about the structure of the British karting? How many races are there? How many series? Is it true that in UK is 1,000 of karting tracks?
Well, there's quite a few. I mean, the Association of British Karting Clubs have around 30 on their on their roster, which includes the likes of Wilton Mill, obviously Larkhall, Nuts Corner, based in Northern Ireland, Trent Valley Kart Club, also known as Paul Fletcher International. South Yorkshire, Shennington, Rissington. There's quite a few kart circuits, but there are so many different competitors. I mean, but then you've got the more established championships. So you've got Super One, BKC, obviously with Darren Beavers and John Hoyle joining forces, LGM. You've also got the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships as well. You've then also got the independent karting championships, Rye House, Wilson Mill, Llandau, Rissington, Fulbeck. I mean, every single kart track has got an independent karting championship of its own, where it will run to some form of Motorsport UK governance in some respects, but will have its own regulations put in. So there is, from grassroots all the way up to the top tier of British motorsport, there is always going to be a lot of competition and a lot of, and there are quite a few tracks. I probably think there's about 35 to 40 at the very least. And one of them is owned by, an ex-Formula One world and IndyCar champion, Nigel Mansell. Obviously, Mansell Raceway in Dunkers down in the West Country. That's got his name plastered all over it. And, to see that he's involved within the karting fraternity is a good thing. But yeah, there's a lot of competitors around the UK. Of course, there's a few that we know from the Polish contingent that are over here as well, including Kasper Tomilewski, very good friend, him and Rafał and Kasia. Really, really good to know all these people as well. Obviously, David Outleitner, Colin Wasny, a few other Polish drivers. But then, of course, one person that we know very, very well indeed, inaugural Euro Trophy DD2 Masters champion, Sławomir Moranski, a very, very nice guy. Always got a smile on his face whenever I see him. But yeah, British karting is definitely still very much prevalent. And also when European competitors come over here to compete against the UK, and that's very, very true with a lot of it. So the UK still has that beacon of where a lot of people want to compete and to test themselves before they go back to their home countries to compete in their own respective championships, or maybe even use that as a springboard to move further up the ladder in motorsport.
How many drivers is in UK? Because in Poland it's about 200 licenses. How many is in UK?
I think it's probably at least 3 times that amount, I would think. I mean, when you've got the UK, okay, you've got England, Scotland, Ireland, and you've got Wales. There is a significant amount of talent all the way through every single country. So I would think it's probably going to be closer to anywhere between 600 to 1,000 competitors. And the funny thing is that I see so many of them following me, either sending me a friend request on Facebook, they're following me on Instagram, or on Twitter, and it's just like really, really funny just to see the depth and breadth of talent that we do have. And there's some great young drivers out there. So yeah, I think it's probably closer to 4 figures, maybe even more than that. But off the top of my head, Pawel, I don't really know. But there's a lot.
Okay, you're a commentator in the Rotax Euro Trophy, Rotax BNL.
Yeah.
What do you think about this season? Is it everyone will be this season will be not the same as last year, And what will be in this year? What about this season?
I think it's very much a difficult situation to categorize, and what I mean by that is it's difficult to say which nations are going to put the quarantines further in place. Funnily enough, I had a WhatsApp message from Andrea Giustini from Vroom, who's based in Italy. Very, very good friend. They have been completely locked down. They can't even go out to exercise unless it's in their garden or their terrace. And I think realistically, Pawel, it could be a very, very short season, or possibly even no season at all. And the reason why I say this is because the way that the COVID-19 pandemic has swept across the globe is more than just staggering. It is absolutely frightening. And in many respects, I think that probably for, I've heard that IAMI championships, I think IAMI New Zealand or Australia have recently cancelled their full season for 2020. Rather than sort of delaying. Well, obviously, I'm not an organizer. I'm not part. Okay, I work with Camp Company GmbH and Karting Gang for BNL, Rotax Euro, Rotax Germany. And we have had to push back the calendars, as you guys have been reporting on Polskie Karting. So realistically, it's going to be either a one-off event or it's going to be nothing at all, if I'm honest. And realistically, I think we have to just weather out the storm, because if we jump before everything has gone by and everything is fine, then we could be in serious trouble, because then I'm more concerned about people's health a bit more now, having taken stock, having looked at it. And when you get a call, obviously with the social media side of things, I have to act instinctively, and I have to act rapidly, which is why when we mentioned the news about it on Euro, about Italy not being the second round of the calendar, but then switching to Marienburg. I mean, I think it's to April 19th that Belgium has now continued this, and I hear that's going to go even longer. That could even be the same as the Netherlands, which now has banned Estonia and Finland, that has banned all public racing events or public sporting events until May 31st. So I think we're going to have to wait to see how it pans out. I can't predict anything, because this is just a situation that none of us would have anticipated, expected, or probably even, well, we don't really want it because we all want to go back racing. But I think the biggest thing is that health is the main priority. That is what the championship organisers and the governing bodies, the ASNs of every single country, have to go by. And if we don't go by it, we could fall foul of it and something could go wrong. And if no racing does happen this season, but everyone's safe and sound, that to me, I think, is probably the more realistic and optimistic approach.
Do you think that Rotax Grand Finals will take place as planned?
I think no. I think realistically, because the way that things are going,
it is in November. So
it is in November. I mean, we have effectively 8 months, or just 7 months effectively, until that takes place. But then what Rotax also has to do as a supplier of karting products, they are the ones that have to make the judgment call. And realistically, I don't know if it's going to take place. I would, if it was me, I would probably look to do something else to replace it, to maybe do a virtual grand finals, which could be probably the next best thing in many respects. But obviously there are people out there that don't have the equipment, the simulators to do this. They don't, a lot of these drivers, as we both very well know, are restricted on budget. And what more people are concerned about nowadays is staying at home, staying safe, staying healthy. But I think if it carries on the way it does, then no, the grand finals won't take place. But then what can be done in the meantime? Do Rotax turn to esports? And there are simulators out there for karting. So there could be a different way that Rotax can approach this. Because I know for a fact, I've heard rumours that karting esports championships are being set up, not just in the UK, but also further afield. So in many respects, I think that if the grand finals do not go ahead this year, I think it is a wise call, but it has to be based on the fluid situation of the pandemic. I can't really sort of say, yes, it does happen, or no, it doesn't happen. But again, it's based on the situation entirely, Pawel. That's the way it's got to be. And if we get to April and the situation is looking even worse, then Rotax, I think, would be better in their due diligence to make their right call, whether they postpone it to early 2021. But then you have championships that will also carry over, like, say, the UAE Rotax Max Challenge that go through the winter period. But yeah, it's dependent on a lot of things, a lot of factors, and how this fluid situation changes over the coming days and weeks.
What about, Alex? What about the world as we know? Because the world as we know has disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
It will be tomorrow. It will be different world. Weird.
I know it's already feeling weird, and we're only a few weeks into the main changes that are now happening. People that I know personally within the motorsport community who have loved lost loved ones through this, and it's very, very eye-opening, I think is the term, that yes, there will be significant changes across the globe. I mean, the governments are doing their best to try and help the situation, obviously with economies going through the floor. You know, businesses are having to shut up shop, bars, restaurants, high street stores here in the UK shutting their doors completely. Social distancing in place. I think there will be a bit more of a policy on social distancing, I think, post this situation. But yeah, I think realistically, yeah, there is a big change, and I think this is in some ways nature's way of fighting back. But of course, it's difficult to put it into words how much the change will be in terms of being found.
It is a new situation for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this has come along, and within the space of since December to March, that's 4 months. The amount of change that it has already put on the world, especially. I was looking at some images on Sky News about how emissions and pollution have changed in, say, Wuhan in Italy and Spain over the course of a matter of either months or a year. How different things are, that we're not able to, in some respects, you know, one of the things that I sometimes do to blow the, as the English say, blow the cobwebs out, you know, just to get a clear head, is to get into my car and go for a drive for an hour. We can't do that. So basically the cars are sitting on driveways. They're not gaining any mileage. They're not gaining any wear on the tyres or any of the internal parts. But also the pollutants aren't being thrown out of the exhaust pipes. So in some respects, it's changed in one way, but it's also changed our lives, you know. And yeah, it's quite an eye-opener, I think.
So what about the karting, world of karting? You know, what will be looks like?
It's difficult because obviously the promoters, the distributors, the suppliers, they're all suffering from this, and there are those that will have the wherewithal to continue. But I think we could see a very different change in terms of obviously a lot of the circuits that are privately owned, who have had to tell their staff to go home, shut their doors. You know, they're not getting any income. They're of course the governments are in the respective territories doing their best to soften the blow, but how many people or how many businesses are going to fall away from karting? That is the biggest question I think we need to ask ourselves here, because it's not just the circuits, it's about the promoters, it's about the distributors, it's about everyone in the karting family. I mean, when Italy was hit hard by the pandemic, Tony Kart, OTK, CRG, Birolart were all hit hard. They were losing absolute fortunes of money in literally like a couple of weeks. And I mean, effectively from us at Jag Rotax, I mean, I'm constantly in contact, as I say, with Gary. He's my immediate boss, but we work together on the social media. He just said that I am getting ready for when we go back racing. And I think the only thing that the businesses, the distributors can do is just to prepare themselves, because I mean, it's not easy. You know, payments aren't going through to businesses. Stock is still coming in, which still has to be paid for. But then there's also the people that have lost their jobs, that have been told that we can't, you know, until this happens, we can't pay you. We can't finance your bills. So realistically, I think the karting world is going to be changed. Whether it's significant or not is depending on the fallout after we get through this and weather this storm across the globe. And it's you know, just even by looking at a smartphone on a regular basis, just to see. And I think one of the biggest things that I've been trying to do to try and keep myself away from the negativity of how impactful this is to look at things that people are doing on social media. And the amount of people that are doing, if you are part of the karting world, post a picture and then it's been going viral. You know, people putting, like, say, what was it? Tom Adams' dad, Chris, on Facebook, tagged me in a post and said, actually, I'll just go and find that because quite funny. Yeah, what was it? Someone just basically said to me, post a picture of your dog and then tag 3 other people. And so I did exactly the same thing. Yeah, then tag Dave Ritson in it. And then I get a WhatsApp message from him and he said, looks like a dog. And I said, well, that looks like a proper mess. So even through the difficulties that we have at the moment, there is a lot of resolve here in the British community. I'm trying to get myself involved with a few projects. So as I said, with the bullet point list, it's very, very difficult indeed to try and keep motivated, but I'm keeping a stiff upper lip as best I can and just keep on moving forward, Pawel.
Alex, thank you very much for visit Karting Cafe.
Thank you very much for having me.
I hope we hear again soon. So see you soon. Take care. Stay safe. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Pawel. And thank you to everyone watching on Karting Cafe. Hopefully, if you want me back on, my friend, I'll be more than happy to talk some more about some good times in karting. Having me again.